So I've been running PPC for my own wholesaling business for many, many years and wasted thousands of dollars on things that I wish I just knew. And this is what this video is for, is to tell you the top 4 tips that literally would save you thousands of dollars and thousands of hours to actually get really good results with PPC. Now, if you want me to do your PPC for you instead, feel free to click the link in the description. I'd be happy to chat with you, but let's get to the video. All right, so like I said, these top 4 tips are gonna be the ones that if you're gonna run PPC at all, or if you're currently running PPC, you need to make sure you know these 4 things because this is gonna save you thousands of hours and a lot of money on wasted clicks and just complete crap. Because if you give an inch to Google Ads, they will take a mile, I promise. They're gonna take every dollar out of your pocket if you let them. And so these 4 tips are gonna help you out with that. So the first thing that I want to tell you as far as the best tip that I can give you is making sure you can run ads where you're going to rank. For example, basically what I mean by this is running ads where you're going to rank. In my local company, we're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, right? 376,000 people in reach. The biggest thing is that you need to understand with your budget how much you actually need to spend to actually get ranked at the top. This is very important because if you are trying to target a too big of an area for the budget that you don't have necessarily to spend to actually rank here, meaning your ad is showing at least 50% of the time at the number 1 results for the keywords that you want to actually rank for, this is a problem. If you're in a too big of an area, you are not going to get quality lead flow if you don't have the budget behind it for the keywords you're trying to go for. Now, like I said, there's a video down below in the description that I'm going to link. If you want to set up your campaign exactly the way I do, feel free to check out this video. I go through a whole entire start to finish of me setting up a campaign. But anyways, basically my formula of budget or setting the right budget to actually rank per market is around $1,500 to $2,000 every single $500,000 in reach. Now, as you can see here, 376,000. I still spend around $1,500 a month, but obviously that's on the low end. And so it's something where I came up with that formula after all of the average of clients that I've done in different areas, my own company and everything, $1,500 to $2,000 every single month per $500,000 in reach. Now, the population on Google for Sioux Falls is only going to be like 200, 220,000 or whatever it is. But obviously the reach is a lot higher. So I'm going off of Google Ads numbers here of reach, not population, going off of reach. So keep this in mind. And even so, if you're in a bigger market like Dallas or San Antonio or wherever, you can still run Google Ads. You just have to pick a spot or a radius of a spot that has what can fit in your budget. I would not recommend starting Google Ads if you don't have money at least $1,500 to $2,000 a month to run ads. I would recommend doing other things before you actually invest this money right away. But it's something where you can still pick a smaller area and put this money down as a minimum for your ads, and you could still get 5 leads a month. That's usually the average that I have with all my clients, my own company, everything like that. Is you can average for every $500,000 in reach, you can average around 5 leads, roughly. Some months you might get 2, some months you might get 8. It really varies, but that's just kind of my formula. You want to make sure you pick an area where you can rank with the budget that you have. For example, if you're in an area of 2 million in reach, you're talking anywhere from 8,000 to 9,000, right? Just keeping in mind. So if you're in an area of 2 million people, you got to understand that's the budget you have to have behind you, more than likely, at least the way I set up my campaigns, to actually rank at the top consistently at least 50% of the time. This is what's going to get you really high quality leads because people who are looking up keywords are going to choose the first option majority of the time with sponsored ads. And so that's just how the way it is. So that's the first tip I have. Second tip. Every week you need to go in and make sure you're adding negative keywords. And what I mean by this is when you go to insights and reports, you're going to go over to your search terms, and what you need to do is you need to simply, and this is for the whole month of course, so I've added multiple other negative keywords since then, but it's something where you have to make sure you add negative keywords. And what negative keywords does is it's basically telling Google Ads, hey, I don't want to show up for this word ever again. Like I don't want to show up for this keyword ever. Because Google is just, honestly, they're trying to learn. I mean, it's pretty tough. And I've obviously built up a negative keyword list over the years and many, many years. And so that's what's nice. When I run PPC for other clients, I have this negative keyword list I automatically implement, and it helps out in that process a lot where you don't have to build the list just like I did. But in this case, what I would do is I would go in here and I would just add as a negative keyword, and I would simply just remove this, and I would say Liz, because this is a different company and I don't really want to do anything with this. So for the campaign, I'm going to add Liz, and this with no, so this right here is broad match. This right here, if I was to add the quotations around it, this is phrase match. And then if I had the parentheses around it, this is exact match. But in this case, I'm going to run a broad match. Anything to do with a phrase that includes Liz, I'm out. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in there just as an example. But you want to go in here every single week and do this once a week. Every single week when you pull up on a Monday, whenever you look at your Google Ads campaign every week. So for example, this last week, if I go in here from the week prior, you want to go in here and just make sure that if there's any key terms that you could show up for, like Liz or whatever, if there's any key terms that you've shown up for, this is where you want to get rid of it, right? Like if there's not really, it's pretty tough. Sometimes you'll find random ones, like Liz is probably my biggest one here. Otherwise, all the rest of them look good, and that's what I care about. And then which brings me into my next point, which is the biggest two things that matter is the search terms you show up for, as well as the auction insights. How I run my campaign, there's people that do it differently all across in the SEO, PPC, Google business world. There's people that always do it differently. Some people believe in running broad match campaigns. Some people don't. And I'm honestly on the side of making sure that we rank at the top consistently at the top for the top keywords, because why not? We need to make sure we're ranking for the best quality leads, because if we're not ranking there yet, then why are we even running broad match? The moment that we start running broad match is the moment that, wow, we're really too good for this market, or we really have it unlocked. So with that being said, it's something that I wouldn't even consider running broad match until it's to the point where it's like, wow, we have mastered this area of PPC and we just want more lead flow. Because when you run broad match, you're going to get a lot, I guess, worse leads. You're getting people, and I shouldn't say worse leads, you're just getting people very early on in the phase, so the likelihood of them being actually really quality and really motivated is pretty rare, just because, like I said, you're catching them really early in the phase. Whereas this type of phrase match and exact match, as you can see here, this is people who are completely motivated. I mean, they're locked and loaded, and they are looking for someone to buy their house. That's how I always like to run it, because your conversion rates are going to be higher. It's less cost per click. It's cheaper. It's better to do it this way. Whereas running broad match, like I said, it's more of a long-term play. So if I were you starting out right away, or most investors, if you don't have this set up already, you need to exact match and phrase match, because you only want to show up for the quality key terms. Now, when you make sure that you're okay, so now we're showing up for the right key terms. Perfect. Now what's important is we need to make sure we're ranking it as high as we can. Obviously, you can see here, I got some work to do. This week or this last week wasn't the best week for our PPC campaign for sure. Had this competitor kind of roll in all of a sudden. And so basically what I'm going to do here is just up the budget and because clearly this company is definitely outbidding us by a long shot. Obviously, our impression share is much higher, but still, clearly this is just telling me, these numbers, that this company is just severely, I shouldn't say overspending, but they're spending a lot of money, so you need to compete with that. And so basically just we'll raise the budget here, but what I like to ideally see is 80% top of page rate, 50% absolute top of page rate. This is a very good minimum for me and very good average, because that means that you're not overspending on trying to get actually quality clicks. These people, I would definitely say they're overspending, but hey, we got to compete with it. You got to do what you got to do. So that's what I would recommend. You want to make sure you have your top of page rate at least 80%, absolute top of page rate 50%, and making sure that your key terms are solid, while of course adding negative keywords as you go. And these are pretty much the two things that you need to care about. If these two things are happening, if those stats are showing your search terms are good and your top of page rate and absolute is really, really good and is on lock, and you're still not getting motivated sellers, I highly recommend just using some patience, because that means you're doing everything right if you set up your campaign properly, as shown in the video that I'm going to link in the description. Now, the last thing I'm going to go over is something that actually a lot of investors, you'd be shocked at how many people pass over on this. And this is where the power of just editing your ads to get higher conversions. So when I go in here, obviously I have my landing page, which is very important. You want to make sure your landing page shows everything to do with where you're trying to rank. You sell your house fast, whatever the case is. And it's more so SEO optimized. Carrot's a great resource for this. If you have Carrot, pretty much your landing page is going to be very optimized. Obviously, you want to make it a little bit of your own, so it's not a cookie cutter website. But otherwise, Carrot's a very, very good option, which I have an affiliate link down below if you want to support the channel. Now, with that being said, too, how I usually like to do this is obviously the video in the description will show how to write these headlines and descriptions. But what I mainly care about is these three things, actually these four things right here, is the images. Images, a lot of people put themselves in the images, which is okay. I'm all right with that. But what works even better in my head is making sure that you have local houses from your area. For example, like people would recognize that this house is probably in Sioux Falls. And that's just the part of it. If you live in New Mexico or anywhere on the East Coast, the houses all look different. So you need to make sure if you have actual local houses, and honestly, this picture was taken from an iPhone, decent quality, but it doesn't look like it's super AI edited and whatever. You want to make sure that it's just as realistic as possible. People love to see that. Not only with that, you want to make sure that your business name is right here, because when you get verified, you want to make sure that your business name shows up for the ad. So I'm going to put myself on blast here. If I look up sell my house, or let's see, what keyword would I know? Cash home buyers near me. So for example, this is what your ad is going to look like. It's going to have your logo. It's going to have your business name. It's going to have the images here. It's also it's just going to look very, very good with the website. It's also, if you which I'm going to talk about this profile here as well, that it just looks so much better when you have the logo and the name. Because as you can see, if there's somebody down here where like sometimes there's other where they have no logo and no name, kind of like this one, and it's something where it just doesn't perform as well because it doesn't stand out at all. There's no locality to it. There's no localness to it. And so that's also very important that we have site links too, to make sure that it's linking to other pages if people want to visit this. It just makes the ad a little bit more optimized. But the last thing I want to go over is when we go to assets, this is what's very, very important. If you can have a location asset in your ad, this is very important, which gives us that example I just showed you where it shows our literal address, our Google business hours, where it's open 24 hours, everything like that. It's very, very, very simple. It's not that hard to get all these 5 things in your ad. Just to increase your conversions that much. It literally takes 10 minutes to get all of these in there. And you'd be shocked at how many of your competitors actually pass this up. But really, that's all I wanted to go over today. These are the 4 things. You want to make sure you run ads where you'll rank based on your budget, no matter where it is. Don't try to overdo it and don't try to take on too big of an area. Every week, go in and add your negative keywords so you can get rid of and stop showing up for those key terms, because it's going to waste the money that you're actually putting into it and not allow you to rank for actually the good keywords that you're trying to rank for. Optimize your ad as much as you can. Add the business asset of your Google business profile. Make sure you add all of your images, your business name, business logo, site links, everything like that. Make sure you optimize it as much as possible to increase your conversion rate, which is also going to make your budget cheaper because you're getting a lower cost per click and able to rank at the top for much cheaper. Last thing, the only 2 things, if you learn anything from this video that matter, is the search terms and the auction insights. Right over here, insights and reports, go to search terms, make sure that all of your search terms are very, very solid. Once you do that, now we need to look at insights. Okay, we need to make sure we get at least 50% as absolute top of page rate, as well as 80% top. Once you get that, you are going to have a very, very successful campaign. It takes time, but as long as you follow my videos correctly, you'll definitely have a lot of success if you do everything that you do exactly what I say. Now, like I said, if you want me to run your PPC for you instead, feel free to click the link in the description. I'd be happy to chat with you. But otherwise, thanks for watching.